So is it all coming to an end? Is everything just going to crash and burn? Are we just going to end up all in the poorhouse with nothing and just wait until the government tells us the next time it's okay to move? I don't think so because people are freaking out saying that we have a bubble, that we have all these things going on. The media speaks about raising interest rates or rising interest rates one time, and everyone suddenly catches a whiff when they don't realize interest rates have been rising for the past 6 months. And really, they're only getting back to where they were in 2017 and 2018. You just had 2 years of the lowest interest rates in history that you're ever going to see. I mean, next time maybe you hit 0% or something like that after there is a huge crash, but that's only because the government made them artificially low. And yeah, now everyone's like, "Oh, interest rates are rising, and the price of housing is too much," and they don't seem to understand how supply and demand works because you don't have a bubble when you have a shortage of houses. Just the same as lumber or metal or materials and anything in the supply chain, when you don't have enough of it, you have a shortage and you have increased demand and not enough supply, the price doesn't just fall, right? You have to get more supply for the price to level off. And just because there's interest rate, yeah, there's going to be people priced out of the market. But does that mean that you're priced out of the market? Does it mean that it's a bad investment if you go and buy a house? No. What you deem as a bad investment is probably just something that the fact that you're scared, right? That you're scared that, oh, it won't work out. It won't work out for the best for me. And so I'm going to sit here and I've probably been doing this for the past 3 years, making an excuse as to why I'm not going to buy a house, why I'm not going to invest in the stock market, why I'm not going to do this, why I'm not going to do that. There are certain types of people that are always doing that in their life, and you're going to find that they pass up the best opportunities and the best periods in time because they still feel like, oh, it's not the right time or it's not a good time. On the other hand, you have people that sit there every single day of the week wondering, how can I get this done? How can I get done what I want to get done? And how quickly can I get it done? And they don't let anything stand in their way. And that's the one thing about this country that makes it so great. You live in the easiest country in the world, easiest country to start a business, easiest country to make money. You have literally no one stopping you. In most countries, you have the government stopping you at every turn point before you want to start a business, before you want to do anything. Here, the question's not who's going to let me, it's who's going to stop me. And no one's going to stop you. You could start a food truck tomorrow, you could start a mortgage company, you could do a million things as long as you get your paperwork done by the end of the year. And no one is stopping you from making money. No one is stopping you from realizing your goals, from setting the goals and achieving them. The thing is that most people get 1 minute into their thoughts about doing something and they just look for a million reasons why they won't do it and why they can't do it. And they're always going to be that way. And so if you try to time the market when you're buying a house or when you're investing in the stock market, then you're always going to miss out and you're going to feel like, oh gosh, if I would have just done it 6 months ago, it would have been perfect. And then they still don't do it now because they think, oh, it's past and it's worst time. But if you look at the market over the last 20, 30, 40 years, it's always steadily increasing. If you would have bought a house in 1980, think of how well off you'd be right now. If you bought a house even in 2012, think of how well off you'd be right now. Even if you bought a house in 2017, think of how well off you'd be right now. The fact is that even when you buy right now, you don't know there's going to be a crash. You don't know what inflation is going to do to housing prices. You don't know what it's going to do to your investments. The only thing that you realize when inflation happens is that your money sitting on the sidelines is worth less. It's going to get you less just sitting there in a savings account that doesn't really make you much money at all, right? So instead of doing that, instead of trying to time the market, you need to go find some kind of asset, something to invest in, something that is tangible, that's not money. Because as inflation goes up, it's only going to increase in value. And even if, say, housing prices do dip for a few years, right? Say it happens and it's great for all the buyers, right? Unless you're selling right then, you're not losing money because it's going to go right back up. Okay? That it's one of those old sayings, like land. They don't make any of it anymore. So you're not going to all of a sudden just have like a whole new set of islands to go buy land on and all this stuff. There is so much demand for housing that As soon as they build it, people are going to start buying it. And there's people with multiple houses, and they have tons of houses, so they're not going to stop buying just because every single person in the world has a house. It doesn't work that way. And that's what these people don't understand with all this FUD. Oh, interest rates are rising, housing prices are so high, we're going to get priced out of the market, all this and that. I'll just wait for a crash, I'll just wait for this to happen. And it doesn't make any sense because you know what they're going to do instead? They're going to go spend their money. They're going to waste their money on something that's useless and that they never see again, probably food and drinks and partying and all kinds of useless crap. And that gets you nowhere. You end up in the same spot. You end up with the same people for year over year doing the same thing that makes you wonder at the end of 5 or 10 years, what was I doing? You look back and you realize a year ago I could have done this and I could have got it done. But those people are the ones that are always going to look like that. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and what we do here and what I'm going to do on this channel is that I've worked in, I'm a loan officer, as a real estate agent. I've worked in oil and gas. I've worked in software, and I've lived in Ireland. I lived in Brazil for a short time during COVID, and I've traveled a lot. And that's the one thing I think that is underappreciated here in the U.S. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas, and coming back to the U.S., I realized that it's not the government stopping people. It's not high taxes. It's not barriers to entry. It's the people stopping themselves. They make excuses. There's no one stopping these people from starting the business tomorrow except for fear. They're scared of what will happen. And they say, well, why shouldn't I be scared? I should be scared. Well, okay, then don't do it. But that's an excuse. You need to own up that you're just living in a bubble and you're keeping yourself in your own little bubble. Because like I said, you can start a truck tomorrow and sell tacos out of the back of it. And as long as you got your paperwork to file your taxes at the end of the year, you're fine. Sole proprietorship is one of the easiest things to do in this country, and it's really one of the most beneficial things to do um, for tax purposes and for independence purposes that most people don't understand. They don't understand the write-offs, the tax deductions, but they don't understand the hard parts either. When you go to try to buy a house your first year self-employed, you won't qualify, right? You gotta have 2 years of self-employment to buy a house. So there are cons to it, but the rewards outweigh that so much. In that first 2 years, you're gonna make and save so much money that you're not gonna know what to do with it. So you can invest in it. And the fact that people sit here on these minimum wage jobs and they want minimum wage to go up, they want all these things to just pay them more for doing nothing, they don't get how expendable that is. They don't get that nobody should ever want that job. And it's really just a lack of thinking that keeps them there. Because if they would take 5 seconds to look around, to see what they're capable of with their own two hands and their mind, they'd accomplish tenfold in a minute. They'd start a taco truck outside the restaurant that they work at, and they'd start competing with it, and they'd probably pull business from it and make more money than the restaurant's making because they don't have the overhead. So those are a few things that I like to talk about on here. I want to go over how you invest in housing, how you invest in the stock market, how you visualize and set goals. And one of the most important things to doing all this is the people around you and how you deal with relationships, because that is what sets everything in life. It's what pulls it all together. It's what makes everything go. The way you treat people, the way you are around people, the way you present yourself. And the thing with most people is that they're fearful and they're scared to talk about their problems or their fears or what's holding them back. They want to keep to themselves. They just hide it all inside and they don't want to talk about it with anyone. And there's really no reason why they shouldn't, because they'll see that everyone else is almost in the same spot that they are. There's always something that someone's trying to get done and they're having trouble getting it done. And that's why they speak out. That's why they talk to other people, because they want to find answers. And so there's really no reason that anybody should be ashamed or scared to talk to anyone, to pose questions, to say, why they think they'll fail at something or why they think they won't get it done out loud to other people, to try to find reason and solace in their answers, because that's what the whole world is trying to do. And the more people wake up and they see that, then they see that there's not just a system, there's not, someone holding them back from doing something they want in their life, and they have to wait for someone to give them an opportunity. When in this country, you make your own opportunities. You can go and you can do whatever you want in this life, and that's what we're going to talk about here. So I'm going to start making these videos. So why don't you talk about below in the comments, let me know what you want to talk about, what questions you have. Like I said, I'm a loan officer, I'm a real estate agent. If you want to talk about the bubble, if you want to talk about inflation, if you want to talk about the war in Ukraine and all the stupid things that our president's doing, feel free. If you disagree with what I say, he's stupid, then go ahead, let me know in the comments, and we'll talk about it. And we'll really get to the heart of the matter here with a lot of this stuff, okay? Thanks.